It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and it's time now for us to have a look at Western Eyre Netball. Rihanna Freeman, who would normally be with us, unavailable this week, so in her stead is the great Flowman, just strolling on in. Been having a look at the tape from the week, have you?
Just the premiership tables and score sheet from last week to get myself a little bit acquainted. Naturally, these two associations were brought together, the Western Eyre out of the Midwest and out of the Far West. So I did actually cover both of those some time ago. So a bit rusty, I'd say, but I can recall back to the Bron Workman days, and I've got some heritage right back to Karen Trowbridge, who was one of our guests, and of course Cindy Best and Susie Kenny had many years of netball, just not as acquainted with the player names and best players right now for these sites, but I'll certainly do my best to give you a reasonable report on what's happening, and of course you're a bit more up to date with it than I am.
All right, let's fly through this. We'll talk more next week about it, obviously, but first of all, a draw for Wirrala, their first points forfeited in the A-grade competition, and it's the first damage that anyone from the old Far West League has been able to inflict on the old Midwesters. So Thevenard 39, Wirrala 39, couldn't be split, Flowman.
It's fantastic netball, and that just shows how good Thevy are. We know that over the years they've had star players, and Lindsay Holness-Denton is one of those stars, winner of the Far West Best and Fairest, I think, on 8 occasions. Now, might be 9 since I've been covering it too, so, I might have dropped 1 or 2 there, but when you won 8, does it really matter?
No.
Yeah, it probably doesn't.
No, you stop counting after 2 or 3, I would have thought.
I think so, but I'd be happy just to get 1, just to be picked on the side would be nice. But Wirrala 39 to the girls from Thevy 39. Well done to both clubs. Wirrala, they're top of the table, and the Bomber girls, they are showing something. I know that you've sort of slided towards the Bomber girls here. I'm just watching to see your facial reactions about that draw, and they're top and going very, very well at the moment, so they'll be a bit disappointed in a draw in that particular game, but well done to Thevy.
Yep, Western United, they were far too good for Kinniba, who are struggling, 59-25. Probably the most goals that Kinniba have shot in the last few weeks. They've normally been in the teens, so there's, I guess, some green shoots.
Yeah, so maybe for them, but good on Kinniba just to get some score. That's the first way to start coming back as a club. But these Westies girls, a lot of young girls in their side that are really coming through, that have taken over from the good old days of Alex Sleep, who was one of their stars of yesteryear. They've been able to hand the baton over the Bron Workmans, who've now gone down into the B grade and are enjoying their netball at a bit slower pace. And these young girls have come on and they're really going well. With the young Hoffricker girls, am I right there? I reckon is going along pretty well in the Western United Guernsey. So 59, or the dress I should say, 59-25 is a pretty good win.
It is. Now the West Coast Hawks, they had a win last week as well. 54 to Sejuna Blues 48. So only 6 goals in this. But it keeps them well and truly in second spot now, the Hawks. And coincidentally, we've touched on this a couple of times this year, but the Hawks and Wirrala, they have not lost to anyone in this competition other than themselves. Yeah,
this is an interesting one. To Midwest Netball, maybe at a club level, maybe a fraction higher standard than the Far West girls. So in the Western Eyre, they come together. We get to see just where they're at. Looking at this, though, the girls from the Blues, not far off. And I reckon when you look at the Blue girls, they always have a good finish to the season. So they can come up still from that third place where they've been on the ladder, 4th place, just behind Thevy at 3 wins each. So they're not too far off the pace. It is, as we say, it is going to be a top 4. So I'm really looking forward to seeing just whether the girls from the Western United Tigers can close the gap on either Thevy or the Blue girls. But it looks like the two Midwest sides are right up the top of the table and will, at this point in time, look like they're finals bound.
Yes, Kinniba, of course, no wins from 7 starts as well on that ladder. Okay, let's have a look at the matchups for this weekend. We're into round 8 of matches, and Flowman, Sejuna Blues, they host top of the ladder Wirrala in Sejuna. Will the Bomber girls bounce back?
Now, I tell you what, the Wirrala girls will be bouncing back. They'll do some shopping while they're in town, I tell you that now. And then they'll bounce back on the court and take on the Blue girls on the Blue girls' home deck. And on that deck, they'll be actually a tough opponent, and this is going to go down to the wire. Got a reckoning, though, that Wirrala will, after last week, might just answer the challenge. That was a challenge. They were challenged and they didn't lose it, but they nearly did. And so I reckon they'll bounce back. And I think they'll win it by 3 or 4, probably in the last quarter with their stronger court position.
The West Coast Hawks head to Kinniba and they will take on the Rooster Girls. The Hawks will be too strong here. They're second on the ladder, only had the one loss for the year, and Kinniba, we know, are really struggling.
Yeah, I noticed the girls have put out a map earlier on for the Hawks and Pete folk to know that Kinniba courts are actually in town. I think it was, because some people think Kinniba might be actually out at the settlement, but they do play at the Aboriginal Sporting Complex, which is a terrific venue right down by the seaside, not too far from Thevenard. So I reckon the Rooster Girls are going to try really, really hard here, but they don't have the talent to go anywhere near what is going to be a really very, very well-polished and well-trained West Coast Hawks who win it probably by about 40 goals.
I think so. Match of the round is this one, Thevenard at home to Western United. Now, the Tigers, as we know, with the ladder the way it is, they need to win this. Thevenard third on the ladder, Western United fifth. And if they drop this one, then they could slip even further behind Blues and Thevenard. Well, they definitely will Thevenard, but the Blues, if they have a win, they could all of a sudden go 2 games back and we're over half a season gone.
Yeah, Tiger Girls,
must
it's
win
on the line, isn't it? And it's an important game. Location for this game comes with more, I guess, home deck advantage will come right into this. And I'm going to say that at Thevy, I'm going to tip the black and white girls over the Tigers. I think the Thevy girls are going to be good enough to beat them, and maybe this is the week. The Tigers, as you say, this becomes a 2-game or 2-win loss. If you lose, you get 2 games away from the
old
top
4-point
4.
game. Yeah, I'm going with the Maggies as well.
Maggies.
All right, that is a look at Western Eyre Netball. Hopefully we did it justice. We'll have Rihanna Freeman back next week here on the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Coming up next, Joe Franklin. I caught up with her earlier, Flowman, to talk about
yes.
EP Netball.
Yeah, and they have those Elliston district girls going, and I know that she's
Well, they had a bye last week.
Well, and so did the Central Eyre United girls, didn't they? So you must have had a lot to talk about. So.
Well, we did. We're going to podcast the full interview, but next you're going to hear the match previews for Central Eyre United in Eastern Eyre Netball and also for Elliston Districts in Great Flinders Netball. It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show.